The next story that we have on hand is Apple is blocking Project xCloud on iOS. So this one's kind of a back burner story for me, just because I want to watch it simmer. I want to see what happens. I want to see how this all transpires. So we all know that Apple, in and of themselves, like to really keep things very tight. They like to make sure that things are very secure. They want to make sure that, their systems aren't very hackable. They have all these systems in place. And there's been a huge argument over time between Android users and Apple users. Android users are saying like, well, all of my apps are free and I can do this. Well, that's because Android doesn't really take the time to fully scrub those apps. So that's why a lot of Androids will get more viruses, stuff like that, on the device. Now, if I'm wrong, please, in the comment section, tell me how I'm wrong, and then I'm an idiot. I'll gladly take it and accept it. But Apple, they really scrub their products. They really scrub the apps. They look for any virus that they can, any type of Trojan, and then they put it on their store if it passes. If it passes their regulations. And each thing that goes onto the market for Apple product is really, really scrubbed. Very, very scrubbed. That's why some apps are, they cost more, is because they go through certain more processes. I'm not really sure 100% on the whole transaction and financial side of it all, but I'm sure that it has something to do with it. If I'm wrong, again, please feel free to let me know. At the end of the show, we're going to have a 30-minute segment where you can call in, go to our Discord, and you can actually find the link there to join in on Weekly Nerdy News as a guest caller and the 30-minute segment. And that's coming up after this one here. We have this segment here, and then we go to a 10-minute slot of music, and then we're back in for 30 more minutes. So Apple is blocking the project. And what Project xCloud on iOS is it's the streaming system. It's Game Pass for Android markets and Apple markets as well. And Apple is requiring that Xbox release each game so they can be scrubbed individually and marketed. And Xbox is like, no, it's a streaming service. They're meant to be streamed. That's what it is. And if you have XPass on your PC, then you know exactly what I mean by that. You can basically, if you own an Xbox and a PC with XPass, you can play your Xbox games on your PC, and your PC can handle it, and it acts as an Xbox because it's a PC, and that's because it's Microsoft. Microsoft owns like everything PC and stuff like that, so of course there's very good cross compatibility there because of how open that market is. Android is similar to that too. They're very open. They're okay with this. So that's what they want. iPhone and PlayStation are or Apple product and PlayStation are kind of stingy in that market. They like to flat out say things like, no, we're not going to crossplay. We don't like the idea of it. Now, there's certain things that have transpired that have made it much easier on PlayStation, but they're very strict about stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying that Apple isn't necessarily wanting to do the cross compatibility. I think they're willing to do it. It's just more of the fact that they want to be able to scrub the games that are being put on the market. And by that alone, it's causing a hiccup because Xbox is like, we can't do that. We're a streaming service. We're streaming it. That's what we're doing currently. So Apple responds to Xbox Project xCloud. It kicks back with Microsoft's Project xCloud streaming platform locked out from iOS devices. Apple doubles down on App Store restrictions. What you need to know is Microsoft's upcoming Xbox Game Pass cloud gaming service hits Android on September 15th, but remains absent from iOS devices. The company recently wrapped closed testing on iOS in parallel to widespread developer security over Apple's tight regulations for content on its App Store digital marketplace. Our customers enjoy great apps and games from millions of developers, and gaming services can absolutely launch on the App Store as long as they follow the same set of guidelines applicable to all developers, including submitting games individually for review and appearing in charts and search, Apple states. Microsoft has responded to Apple's claims, stating Apple stands alone as the only general-purpose platform to deny consumers from cloud gaming and game subscription service like Xbox Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass. Couldn't say the word. Xbox. It's like the Tupac version of Xbox. And it consistently treats gaming apps differently, applying more lenient rules to non-gaming apps even when they include interactive content. So, that being said, we see right here, plain as day, you know, Apple's like, yo, you got to go through the guidelines. And Xbox is like, yo, we don't want to go through the guidelines. And they're like, oh my God, it's a business decision. And that's honestly what it's boiling down to. I think in some ways or aspects, we're seeing a massive business move through Apple. I mean, I think that's what we're seeing here. And this source immediately comes from Windows Central. So I'm immediately on a Windows site getting that information. But if I go to Eurogamer is also covering the same thing. Apple has blocked Project xCloud on iOS. Our customers enjoy great games and games for millions of developers. So, they're reporting the same thing. They're saying the same thing. Xbox, what are you doing? Apple, what are you doing? I think really it's all going to hash out. This is why I call it the back burner story, is because I think there's a lot happening, and you know, behind the curtain of corporate giants, they're talking about it. They're trying to hash these things out. I don't see. Maybe. If Apple does continue to block Microsoft, I think they're going to lose a lot of people. I think they'll lose a lot of people in their market. They're really cutting the demographic. Apple owns about half the market, right, of digital products. So owning like half the market of digital products, like you're going to prevent half your people. You're going to, maybe half or all of your people who play Microsoft or Xbox or on their PCs or whatever, or whoever use Game Pass. You're going to block them from being able to do what they want to do. They're going to switch over to Android where they can do it. So you're going to lose the market. So again, I think that there's a big curtain and there's a lot going on behind curtain. They're changing the set. They're setting things up and they're kind of manipulating the scene. And I think we're going to get something out of it. I honestly, it's hard for me to see Apple doing this and potentially risking a market, because they are. If you literally cut it off like this, you're cutting out a lot of your demographic who are going to switch. They're going to switch. So I think a lot's to come out about this story. I think we're going to see great things, honestly, coming from this whole story. But it's a back burner. We're gonna retouch on this here in probably a week or two, kind of let things fizzle and bubble. So I'm excited. That's a good story to talk about. That's a good story to kind of cover. The next one is advertising in video games. This was something that was kind of brought to my attention, and it was touched on in a topic. And yeah, this one hook, line, and sinkered me a little bit, folks. I got to be completely honest with you. Advertising in video games. Advertising in video games is the process of integrating advertising into video games to promote products, organizations, or viewpoints. There are two major categories of advertising in video games: in-game advertising and advergames. In-game advertising shows the player advertisements while they are playing the game, whereas advergames are a type of game created to serve as an advertisement for a brand product. Other methods of advertising in video games include product placement, being integrated into in-game environments, and companies/organizations sponsoring commercial games or other game-related content. So, right? How do we feel about in-game advertisements? Nick and I were touching on this. Okay, we really wanted to cover a conversation about it, and I think that this was kind of the best place for this conversation. In-game advertisements, I'm not necessarily 100% against of the story of having an in-game advertisement, and by that I say it like this: if I'm walking through an environment and I go into a room, and in that room is a radio, and that radio has audio coming from it. Or there's a TV, and the TV has a video playing, and there's audio coming from it. And say the audio coming from it's drink Pepsi. Not a sponsor, by the way, of Threat Expert 3 Productions. This is just merely moderation. I can't speak the English, folks. This is clearly just an example of what I'm trying to express. Say there's a Pepsi ad on that radio or a Pepsi ad on the TV, and it's just there as I'm passing through it. I hear it. I see it. That's a background sponsorship. That's a background ad. I'm okay with it because it's there. I'm not worried about it. If you require me to watch an advertisement before I can get into the main menu, I will not play that game. If you require me to watch an advertisement to move on in a story, I will not act or play in that game. The only way that I see this being acceptable, and maybe this is just for me. I mean, anybody can chime in. Again, we're going to have 30 minutes here at the top of the hour, 30 minutes to kind of talk about all this. You feel free to call in on Discord. But the in-game advertisements, if I'm walking through a world and they feel natural to the environment, I'm okay with that. Don't make me click on the ad. Don't make me skip the ad like when you're watching a video on YouTube or Facebook. Don't, like you're playing a game on your phone and then like an ad comes in for another game. Friggin' hate that crap. I hate it. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's not fun. So I don't want it in my game. Now, I do play games on my phone because, well, that's to be expected. Which also, speaking of that, Apple, stop letting people have advertisements in your game. I don't like that. Stop it. Okay, please. I have an Apple phone and I don't like that you do that. Just my suggestion. But if the advertisement in the game is natural to the environment, in a radio, in a car, walking through a city and I see a billboard for Coca-Cola, like, that's natural. That seems purposeful. That seems honestly creative. And I'm okay with that because they found a way to integrate the advertisement into what I'm doing. Some people are like, well, that just leads into like so many crazy things. I mean, you think about the possibilities. Once you do have in-game advertisements, the type of inflation that market's going to have because they're now having new types of sponsorships. So esports are going to become a lot bigger. Also, you're going to see, better stories, I think. You're going to see better functioning games because they have a higher product value. They have a higher market at that point. Okay? It also kind of transitions, if you've ever seen Ready Player One or read the book Ready Player One, it kind of transitions. And what I mean by that is we're seeing a movement of reality into video games. They're taking, I remember in the 90s as a kid, kids shouldn't play this video game because it has violence and is bad for you. Now they want to put advertisements in it. Like, what? What? You want to put advertisements in my video game because you realize you can't shut the market down? No, you can't. Okay, so we're seeing this transition of reality into video games, and I think that that's incredible. So as far as like in-game advertisements, I'm not against it. I like the idea of it. I'm ready for that type of concept. I think that overall, it could help the market. Now, again, I don't want to have to watch your video and then skip through. I don't want to have to do that. Put it in my world. Make it part of my environment. Don't bog me down with something that I don't need, right? And I'm talking about like Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a great example of that. If I'm running through the city, right, and I, boom, bust into a door, and there's a radio playing or a TV playing, and there's an advertisement. Bam, easy peasy, right? But if I bust through the door and I gotta watch a 5-second video that I could skip 3 seconds in, I'm not going to do that because what are the chances of me getting killed? How crappy would it be to run up on a player, shoot him 5 times, realize, oh crap, he's in an advertisement. He's in an advertisement. I gotta wait. And then all of a sudden he loads out of the advertisement, kills you. Oh my God, I'd be so mad. I'd be so mad. I don't think I'd be able to handle it. And that's not acceptable. People, that's not acceptable. You can't do it. I don't want that in a game. I don't think that that's necessary. But if I bust in through a door and I hear the radio, Pepsi, ching, or, Taco Bell, blah, blah, blah. Fine. That's okay. That's okay. Put it on a taxi car that I walk by every time I play the game. And you know what? Honestly, change the skin every couple months when you get a new advertiser. Put a new one in there, and I'm okay with it. Then I get to see rotating advertisements. I know where to find them because I'll see them there. And honestly, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're forcing people to watch the advertisement by, sit through this to get to the main menu, or sit through this to progress through the story, or watch this advertisement to get this unlockable item. Actually, wait a minute. I'm actually not that opposed to that. Like, if I go to a game that has like a game pass and they, earn an extra level in your battle pass by watching this advertisement. Okay. That way I don't have to spend the $10. Okay. $10 for me to watch an advertisement. 6 advertisements a week equal up to a level. Fine. Totally fine, okay? Like in a battle pass situation with like Call of Duty, that is fine. Let me watch advertisements to move up faster, or to gain an extra item, or to get a skin. Hey, get a Pepsi skin for watching a Pepsi commercial. I'm okay with this, as long as it's in the battle pass and not in, to where I'm being forced. Like, don't force me to watch them. I won't do it. But again, if you make it worth my while, like give me a skin, help me level up faster, get XP boost, fine, that's okay. But make it a choice. Don't force me. And if you are going to force me, do it in the background. Do it in the background where I'm not going to notice it. Do you know how many times I'm cleaning my house, listening to the radio, and a commercial comes on? That's a background advertisement. It's there. I know it's there. And sometimes I hear them, sometimes I don't. But I like them, and sometimes I don't. Right? It's just there. It's a background advertisement, and I'm okay with that being in my video game. Make it a background thing. That's all I ask. Another one, sport games, right? Like if you're playing like Madden, or if you're playing what's that? FIFA, Madden, MLB, WWE 2K 2022. Like, I'm okay with them having billboard advertisements where basically the billboards shine and show different sponsorships for that game. I'm okay with that. I don't see how that's going to be an issue because it's made to be in that environment. I watch TV sports knowing I'm going to see an advertisement. One of the best parts about watching the Super Bowl is watching the dang commercials. They're good. I don't know why, and I don't understand it. I don't think I'm ever going to understand it. Even if people tell me 100 times until they're blue in the face, I don't think I'm going to understand it. Why are the commercials during the Super Bowl 10 times better than any other part of the year? That they literally need to have an award for best I'm sure they do somewhere. I'm sure they have like best commercial, whatever. I should look that up. I'm going to do that after the show. I'm going to look that up. But I can't train of thought. I really do see the payoff of having advertisements in your video games. I think that that's something that's doable. I think it's something that's going to be fun, as long as it's not forced. As long as you make it natural to the environment, I'm okay with it. Now, that's Call of Duty and that's sport games, right? Easy to put advertisements in. What about games that, you wouldn't see an advertisement, like a Harry Potter game or a Star Wars game, or, oh man, there's so many different options out there, but like games that aren't really relative to reality, that are very futuristic or on a different planet, or, a whole different aspect all the way around. So my question is like, how do you advertise in those games? They're not going to have billboards. If it's a castle, it's not going to have a billboard. If it's a monstrous planet like No Man's Sky, it's not going to have a billboard. So what can they do to add advertisements into that type of environment? I'm really, really curious. I kind of want to know what your guys' thoughts are on this whole topic of advertisements in video games. I think it's kind of like a hot button, because if it is going to be there, how are we going to have to endure it? Because honestly, let's face it, things happen in the gaming community that it's like, well, I never asked for that. You never asked for that. Why did they give us this? Somebody's making decisions, and a lot of us don't get a choice in it. It's just, it is what it is, and we play it because, well, it's fun to do. It's what we like to do. And if we're going to continue to do something that we like to do, don't convolute it. Don't make too much out of it, right? Let it just be what it is. Just be what it is. That's all it is. Be what it is. But yeah, those are the topics. We're getting ready to go. I've got about 2 minutes, two of those whole minutes, before I go back into a 10-minute music break. 10-minute music break. Man, English is hard. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Head over to the Discord. Head to ThreadX3 Productions. Go on down to the Weekly Nerdy News tab and check out the chat live. There's a chat live down there. I'm going to be in there. Hopefully I see you is in there. I want to see you in that Discord. And let's talk about these things. Let's talk about, let's talk about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and his team buying the XFL for $15 million. That's cool. Let's talk about Apple removing Game Pass, saying like, hey, you can't have it. That's not cool, man. Let us have the Game Pass. Okay? PlayStation has their own one. It's called PlayStation Remote Play. I can play my PlayStation games as long as I have Wi-Fi and my PlayStation has Wi-Fi. You don't make them scrub their games. So I'm just curious to how that's going to all pan out. That, again, that's a back burner story. And advertising and video games, guys. That's what I want to know. Where are you guys at with that? How do you feel about it? Let's talk about it. All right.